Jordan should not have had to die. And I strongly believe, as I've been stating, probably from day one, we have a mental health system that is broken. When you have someone repeatedly going through that system, that's a signature of failure. And we need help in Albany and in the city council. We can't sit back and mourn the loss of someone that is caught up in this system when we're not taking the action every day. But a jury of his peers heard the case, saw all the facts and all the evidence, and made a decision. And I joined DA Braggs in stating that I respect the process.
We're devastated, upset, angry, hurt. Over and over again, we keep coming to the system, asking the system to let us know that our lives have value. Jordan Neely was choked to death by someone who didn't care. People was telling him to stop. Last week, the jury they couldn't decide on the top charge, but they come back this week and they give up on us.
I just want to say, I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged.
Mm-hmm. And when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, because thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked of his wicked ways, his blood shall I require at thy hand.
I promised this family that we would get justice. We're still going to do that. We're going to move forward with our suit. The district attorney did a good job, but the jury in this case let us down.
I'm sorry to Dre. I'm sorry to Chris. I'm sorry that America has failed you. You've come here, you've shown discipline, you've shown strength, you've shown love, you've shown how to carry yourself with composure when you're facing this machine, this American judicial system that cannibalizes our people. There is no love for black people. There is no love in the system. How can you make a moral appeal to a people that have no moral code?
I stood here 10 years ago because they did not give justice to my son with the chokehold. I fought hard to get the anti-chokehold bill passed, which did pass. But it shouldn't only be for police officers, it should be for civilians also. No one deserves to be choked to death.
No one.
And you know, we're in that courtroom and people are cheering for the verdict. They made the loudest noise, the judge did nothing. But when his father spoke out, they put him out the courtroom. Is that justice? Or what? We can't allow this to keep going on. We have to fight this system.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. As usual, we're presenting you the problems of the present. We have today with us, your first name? Oh, God. Mr. Neely, the uncle of Jordan Neely, and Damian Waters. Senior moment.
It's okay.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Neely. Tell me what happened in court. How do you respond to the mayor and his response? Before we come to Ashley, I know Ashley has a lot to say.
I mean, some things you ain't even got to say. I mean, he said it for himself. Me giving it more attention for him that's not helping that's not helping my people. That's not helping the struggle. Mm-hmm. That's not me talking about what Adams is doing or the sucker moves he might be playing, or, you know, doing just things that children do. They don't know if they want to go to mommy or if they don't want to go to daddy. You know what I mean? So, you know, they don't know who, you know. I just don't get, I'm just not entertained. You know what I'm saying? At all. Like, it's nothing that he can do. You know what I'm saying? He's just like any other citizen of the United States of America. He has a job. He, you know, possibly might have a criminal record in a few weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the sound that's traveling from him, it's like I'm not letting it, you know, get into my ears and, you know, flow through my body. Because that's the sound that I've been hearing in the courtroom. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving Adams any attention whatsoever at all.
Ashley,
You know?
are you there? Ashley Sharpton's on Zoom.
Good evening, good evening.
We have Ashley and of course Graham's on Zoom. What'd you think of that, Ashley?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. So first, before I address or answer your question, I will again state Jordan Neely should be alive today. And what we saw, the verdict, as far as them throwing out manslaughter, and as far as them dismissing the charge, the lesser charge, was asinine. It was a slap in the face. Some say it was expected, some say they weren't surprised. But I feel like we've come so far in this fight that I was. To answer your question about Mayor Adams, any elected official. So we had this conversation on Monday at our neighborhood huddle. We have a huddle meeting every Monday at the National Action Network House of Justice, which you are all a part of. Today actually is our birthday, our anniversary. This is our 11th anniversary. But we had this conversation and we huddle up from 6 to 8 p.m. at the House of Justice in Harlem National Network with young people and the young at heart, our seniors. But basically, long story short, Damien basically kicked it off. And he called out public advocate Jumaane Williams and others for not being present in the court. And with that said, it started a trickle effect. And I ended up speaking on all my feelings about, well, not all, but some of my feelings about what happened. And I definitely agree. And I'm not here, definitely, what Christopher said, Ms. Neely said about tearing anyone down. But there is accountability all around. We helped elect these officials. We've known, I call him Uncle Eric Adams, since I was a little girl. The reason I endorsed him in the election for mayor was because I believed that he would bring change to the city. I felt that his example already as the Brooklyn Borough president, as state senator, he had done good things. So I believed in that. That's not a gimmick. That was no show. That was no dance. I believe that. So if somebody is doing something wrong and they failed in that accountability or in what they're doing, I have a right to call them out. And I felt that his statements were reckless. I felt that for him to first of all, for him to make a statement during the weekend where they were the jury was deliberating on the second charge. They had already dismissed the first charge on Friday. He decided to make the statement. He didn't have to make the statement at all until the end, until there was a verdict, if you wanted to be fair. But he decided to say that Daniel Penny's response is what New York City should be doing as far as responding. First of all, I was in the courtroom when they talked about the protesters. We were the protesters they were referencing, saying that basically our chants outside could affect the jury, could affect their decisions. How could you say that in the courtroom, but then not on the same time expect to say that the mayor's opinion doesn't impact the jury? That was reckless and that was a bad decision on his part. I felt it was disrespect, even if he agreed with that, for you to even end the statement there, but then you changed the statement, not change the statement, but you added to the statement once the decision came out and said, oh, then you gave value to Jordan Neely's life and said that he shouldn't have been dead. But you never retracted your statement of what you said on Friday about Daniel Penny being correct. That was wrong. And I felt that was reckless. I felt that wasn't correct. As I said on Monday, his son's name is Jordan. So he should see the humanity in Jordan. He should understand. He knows the crisis that's happening in as far as homelessness and mental health in this city, let alone this country. So I don't understand. I understand, like you all have, like Christopher referenced, there's a lot going on right now as far as the political climate and what's going on. And I won't touch that because, as they both said, they respect the system, so we're going to respect the system as far as that. But I think that his decision to make that statement was the wrong decision. We just saw Mayor Eric Adams at the House of Justice at the National Network for Thanksgiving. Doing what? He joined us to feed the homeless. What was Jordan Neely? The homeless. We've been feeding the homeless at the House of Justice. We're not the House of Justice, but the National Network for over 30 years. Yeah. Jordan Neely could have come into the House of Justice for a plate. Mm-hmm. So how can we then welcome you back on Christmas, which is in a few weeks, to feed the hungry? But you made such a statement. And what are you doing so that Jordan Neely is no longer happening in your city? Mm-hmm. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm making a statement and making it plain as far as my opinion. Mm-hmm. That's wrong, and it needs to be corrected and ratified as far as his power. He needs to make changes in this city, and I'm definitely welcome to any conversation. That's what I'm saying as far as attack. I'm not necessarily completely against everything that he has done, of course not. But as far as that situation and what happened with Jordan Neely, more must be done. And what he did was absolutely wrong in my opinion. Thank you,
Ashley. We all got to realize that Mayor Adams is family. He helped start National Action Network, so he should be the main person following what Nan's doing. He should be more helpful, as Ashley states. Well, you know what I want to do? We're going to roll item 2, and I want everybody to see the actual murder, all right? Because that's what it was, and I saw it for the first time. I know it's crazy that I just saw this, but yeah, watch it and you tell me what you think. Now this is perhaps, I don't know who the commentators are, but you listen to what's said, and then we'll talk about it in the end. All right, run item 2.
This video was recorded in the Broadway Lafayette subway station in Manhattan last May 1st at 2:24 p.m. The woman filming, Yvette Rosario, has just witnessed a struggle in her subway car. The man in the white t-shirt being held on the floor is Jordan Neely. He is 30 years old, homeless, and diagnosed with schizophrenia. He boarded the train at the previous stop. Witnesses say Neely entered the car and immediately began threatening passengers, saying he was, quote, ready to die and would kill a motherfucker. Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old student and former Marine from Long Island, took Neely to the ground and put him in a chokehold. He's the blonde guy there, restraining Neely. These 6 minutes will change everything for both men. Neely will be rushed to the hospital and declared dead. Penny will go to a police precinct where his statement will kick off a legal case that's ongoing right now in Manhattan. It's one that could land him in prison for 15 years. This case divided America almost immediately. On one side, those who say Penny is a racially motivated murderer, a vigilante who thought he could put his hands on a poor black man because he was poor and black. On the other, those who believe Penny is a hero who protected his fellow riders in the face of soaring violent crime and inaction from government and police. Over the past month, I've spent day after day in a Manhattan courtroom covering the trial of Daniel Penny. I've read hundreds of pages of Jordan Neely's medical records and seen images of his autopsy. I've seen Penny's mother hold back tears on the stand as she vouched for her son's kindness. I've heard from witnesses, police, and the medical examiner. But as the trial comes to a close, basic questions still remain about exactly what happened on that subway train. It all comes back to these 6 minutes when Penny and Neely struggled on the floor of a subway car. Prosecutors say Neely's last voluntary movement was at this moment, 2:28 p.m. 51 seconds later, Penny let go of him. The medical examiner says Neely died a short time later from a chokehold, compression of his neck. What you're about to see is body cam footage from police arriving at the scene.
Now, I'm just going to give my interpretation of that. I hear this, and I see a black man holding another black man down while a white man chokes him to death. Now, this is New York City. Now, come to find out, this white man is an ex-Marine from Long Island, a Trump supporter, 10 to 1. Now, I'm an ex-Marine, so I know how Marines think. They think they're cops. They think the best of all the services. They're taught that. And they're taught these items. And he's probably never had a chance to try out what he always practiced and had a chance to do it. But my complaint comes from the black man. How do you sit there on a subway and you see a white man choking a black man and you're letting it happen? Or you're insisting? I mean, that's my rage. I mean, if I was in there, I would say, let him up. We got enough people to cover him. He ain't hurting nobody. That's what you do in New York. Somebody's out of hand, you get them settled down. You don't choke them together. But he didn't understand. He's from Long Island, he's white. But a black man was assisting him. That's what I saw. And I'm outraged that we don't take care of one another. Like this election, we didn't vote enough. That's why Kamala didn't get in. What are we doing? Taking care of ourselves and our own people. That's my outrage. Ashley?
I definitely echo you, but I also disagree. I think that just because Daniel Penny was white doesn't excuse him at all. He's absolutely, they both were absolutely, everyone on the train who was on the train at the point, and I don't know, we saw the same video, we all just watched it again, and I'm sorry, Christopher Neely, that you just had to watch your family die again on camera. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that during trial. Nobody understands that trauma that brings. So I'm sorry again that you had to see that once again, and I'm sorry again for your loss. But watching it again is just, my blood is boiling. Again, another black man lynched literally on camera, and that time with help. I don't. First of all, it takes my mind to it. I'm not sure if we're going to show that later on in this, but I'm not sure if you all saw the interview that Daniel Penny just did.
Oh, I didn't.
And I think, first of all, I think that's ludicrous for him to have. He did an interview with Fox about what happened, but you couldn't take the stand. So that's one. Number two is, in the interview, he said that why he didn't let him go, because he was holding on to Jordan Neely for 6 minutes, almost 6 minutes, was because he said that it would have left him at a vulnerable state. So he said if you watch the video, you see that he had him from behind. So if he would have let him go, it would have left him in a vulnerable state. We all just watched that video. There were 2 men in front of him. At one point, there were 3 around him.
Yeah.
Where was the vulnerability if he were to let go? They could have easily done anything, taken him down, whatever.
Yeah.
Then when the train stopped twice, if you were so afraid, they kept saying that I was so afraid of what he would have done to the train. When everybody got off the train, why didn't you let go and get off the train as well?
Yeah.
Where was the fear? So something obviously happened. And I'm not a Marine, I don't have that training. But I have spoken to many people in my family and also at NAN who have that training, and they said that they deal with, and I can't put this on Daniel Penny, but they deal with some certain mental issues and they snap at times. Why wasn't his mental state ever addressed? Yes, we heard from the family how he was so sweet and his trainer, but why wasn't that ever addressed? What if he went to a state and didn't let go? He thought he was doing something. I'm not sure where the fear was at the video that I just saw. Yeah. How the threat was Jordan Neely at that point. Yes, I heard what he said, the threats that they said he hurled, what he said verbally. But where was the threat physically? The only one exerting violence, it seemed, was Daniel Penny. And then he got people around him helping him. The 2 major witnesses who we saw, the black one who you said he was afraid to come to court because he was afraid that us, the protesters, were going to do something to him, which is crazy. And the other one he was from Germany, and he wouldn't come back. Neither side could get him, the defense or the prosecution, get him to come back to testify. So something is wrong there. There's a lot in the case that we saw that does not make sense. But to what you're speaking to as far as the outrage, as far as the black man, yes, I think that is asinine. I think that what he said, Mr. Gonzalez, I believe is his name, I think it does not make sense to me. It does not make the video, watching the video makes you further upset because it does not make sense. It's just like George Floyd. It does not make sense. And also, where's the question of humanity? When did you realize this person was a person, a breathing person who also has value of life just like you? When did that kick in? You kept saying, they keep saying that he was afraid for the train and he was scared that he was going to hurt people on the train. I've never heard him have any remorse about killing Jordan Neely or that Jordan Neely lost his life. He never said, I'm sorry. He never said, I'm so sorry that the young man is gone. He said today that in the interview, oh, I couldn't sleep with myself if something happened to somebody on the train. Something did happen to somebody on that train. Jordan Neely is dead.
Right, right,
Yep.
right. Graham, what do you think
Yeah.
about the passenger, the black man standing there not stopping this? Was he afraid he was a cop? Did he ask him, was he a cop? Why did somebody stand around and let a black man get choked like that? What do you think?
Mr. Neely, I'm sorry you had to go through this a second time. There are some things that the general public should know as a result of the Eric Garner case.
Yeah.
Now, we have been misled by people talking about having legislation passed. Voting Rights Acts and this, that, and the other, and an anti-choking bill. All of these laws have been on the books. There's no need to get any legislation for an anti-choking.
Don't go there.
That law was a felony 30 years ago. And what annoys me is the fact that the district attorney, just like the U.S. attorney, failed to do his job. There were charges that could have been preferred against this Mr. Penny, other than the top charges that they had. Had they put in the additional charges, he would have still been convicted of some felony charges and could have served time. I wrote a paper 10 years ago when Eric Garner was killed with regard to the fact that the charges were not adequately applied. Criminal negligent homicide happens when you cause the death of another person. That's negligence. That is an E felony. Reckless endangerment under certain circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life. He recklessly engages in conduct that causes the death of a person. That's a D felony. And here we get to this chokehold conversation. Section 121.11 of the New York State Penal Code says, criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation. A person is guilty of such in obstructing the breathing or the blood circulation when, in an attempt to impede the normal breathing or circulation of blood of another person, he or she applies pressure to the neck or the throat of such person, blocks the nose or the mouth of the person. That's an A misdemeanor, criminal obstruction. 121.12, strangulation in the second degree, is a hate crime. A person is guilty of strangulation in the second degree when he commits the crime of criminal obstruction of breathing, defined in the preceding statute, and thereby causes a stupor or loss of consciousness for any period of time, or any other physical impairment or injury. That is a D felony.
Graham, you're arguing a case that's over. That's what the lawyers should have gone
We
for.
need to get this and get it straight.
No, what I'm saying is...
No, this case is not over because it's going to happen again. And people don't need to talk about
So what do we do about this
legislation.
case? What do we do about this case?
Once again, I'm educating you, but you're talking.
Well,
Strangulation is a hate crime.
it doesn't apply to now.
On strangulation, cutting off the air supply and blood supply to the brain has been a felony on the books for more than 25 years. We don't need to have a demonstration about a chokehold. It was a felony 25 years ago. Why didn't the DA put that into his charges? We need to be on top of the law. And there are other charges that could have been charged against Penny.
But that didn't happen, Graham. We're talking about something that didn't happen. That's the point
I'm making.
Well, let's move on from here. What do we do now?
What do you mean move on? You're going to wait till the next time and not know that these charges should be preferred against a defendant?
Well, I just want to jump in. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I didn't know a lot of what you just said. So I was learning as you said that, and I'm not ashamed to say that I wasn't aware. And Attorney Michael Hardy he was our legal eagle. And I'm
Right.
sure he could go back and forth and talk to you about everything that you just said. I wasn't aware, but I think it is important. I really do. I think it is important that we do have that in conversation, and those who are aware of that need to be at the table with those who are fighting this. No offense to the lawyers, they needed some help because there were things that I was in the courtroom. They needed some help. So I agree. If he knows what he's talking about, that's one of the first times that I've heard that the chokehold has been illegal for over 20 years. I thought that happened with Eric Garner. So I'm not ashamed to say that. That's new information for me.
But the DAs are not charging people for the crimes they're committing.
Why?
That is the thing. When a black man
Why?
commits a crime,
Why aren't they
throw
doing
everything they can throw at him.
Is that strategy though? Because I think the DA's office they did an all right job. I think considering the fact that Penny was first he wasn't even arrested. I think they were a part of that. So I think they did.
They let him go home. They did. They did let him go home. But the thing is this, when a black man is charged, they throw everything at him. In case he gets off on one charge, they can get him on another. There were felony charges in here that he could have been convicted of, and he could be sentenced on.
But he's a black man. That doesn't apply to black people.
He's a white man.
I'm talking about, the charges.
The thing. Bragg could have put these additional charges in there, and the jury could have deliberated on those charges. Penny did not lose consciousness because he was taking deep breaths or he had sickle cell anemia. He lost consciousness because his airway and his blood supply was cut off to his brain. That is a felony. Those charges could have been preferred against Penny, and he could have been convicted on those, possibly, depending upon the makeup of the jury.
Yeah.
Those charges were never preferred against him. That's my argument.
But even with the charges that you just suggested, he still would have been set free. Because the judge and the jury were on the Trump side. Of course, this is coming out because of Trump being elected president, and I just brought in the fact that we as black people have to get together and start teaming up. And I just saw an instance where a black man could have stepped in and saved the day. And I'm just wondering, is there something that we're not doing? Like we didn't vote enough? That's why Kamala didn't get it? And Neely was killed because a black man stood there and assisted. I saw that and I said, why didn't he stop it? I mean, that's what any of us standing here would do.
I mean, you give it
right? That's why not? Is there a conversation about that?
I mean, I think I don't know what's going on over here. I don't even know what's going on. Like, I'm a realist, like, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, I'm not giving nobody too much power anyway. Like, I want the best for you. You know what I'm saying? As my brother or my sister, my uncle, my niece, my nephew, or family or friend or whatever. But like, you know what I'm saying? I want you to save me if you can, you know what I'm saying? But like, I can't say that that's your duty. I don't know if that's your determined idea. That might be internally for me. You know what I'm saying? Harlem can speak for Bourne. They can speak for Christopher Neely, what I do for my community, what I do for the babies. But I can't speak for you because you might not have the experience. And to my knowledge, experience what you go through. You know what I'm saying? So if I, especially sometimes when you don't get what you want, you know what I'm saying? One thing you did say was right from the beginning, not from the beginning, but just now, because I didn't know what was happening because it's just back and forth. But one thing that you did say was that he was actually going to get off regardless to whom or what.
Yeah. So
from the beginning, from before October 21st, from the start of the trial, me and the district attorney already had the conversation about, I don't know how you didn't see the video before, with the guy holding, because that was major, but that's neither here nor there.
It was white people that were holding them down.
But through the knowledge,
though. Just assumed there was no black people involved there.
Black people kill black people all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you're going to work on.
I thought this wasn't the case.
Yeah. But like, you know what I'm saying? That's not what's gonna pay the bills, thinking you gotta go out there and go get that job. You feel me? Put that money in your pocket like you're doing now. Right. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Penny was actually going to get off regardless. You know what I'm saying? That was the sound that was traveling from the district attorney. If people don't know, in Harlem, if they don't know, in Brooklyn or Queens, Staten Island, or anywhere on the witness of the planet Earth, Daniel Penny was going to walk regardless. He was going to get probation, no more than a year.
White supremacy.
Period. That was the whole situation. That was what the ADA said to me. That's what the district attorney said to me. So I knew all that they was looking for was a conviction. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I was looking for man years. You know what I'm saying? I wanted him to see man years. I wanted him to sit, you know what I'm saying, and understand what he did wasn't right and exact at all. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted him to get man years. So me and the ADA, we agreed. I liked the work that they was doing. I liked the testimony for Cynthia Harris. She's professionally brilliant. You know what I'm saying? And so is Ms. Daphne. You know what I'm saying? Excellent work. You know what I'm saying? As far as taking the top charge off and how things navigated afterwards, it just caused a disaster. Because at least if they would have kept the top charge off, to my knowledge, I mean, if the brother on screen is an attorney or whatever, if you know the law, at least if they would have kept the top charge off, at least we could have got either a hung jury or a mistrial, whatever the case might be. At least they could have retried them, because the sound that was traveling to me, a family member, you know what I'm saying, that was on them like white on rice, like they on us. I was letting them know, like, you know what I'm saying, I need y'all to perform these duties. I was getting calls at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I was calling her back when I got up, you know what I'm saying, because I was on them, and she was on it with me too. It was righteous, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, she knew what was going to happen. Her thing was like, listen, he got manslaughter in the second degree that carries 15 years, 19 years, possibly max or whatever. And then he got criminal neglect homicide that carries 5 years maximum. Okay? So I said to the district attorney and the ADA, so listen, how much time do you think Daniel Penny is going to get if he gets charged on the first charge, which is manslaughter in the second degree? Oh no, he might do like 4 months, or he might do probation shit. He definitely ain't gonna get no hard time. He ain't gonna get no hard time. You know what I'm saying? So I said, so what is he gonna get for criminal neglect homicide if the minimum is 5 years? Oh, he's definitely gonna get probation. So this is something that I already knew was gonna occur. You know what I'm saying? So by Friday, this past Friday, not to cut your wisdom, but by this Friday that just passed, right? I think that was the 8, 7, I think that was the 6th day of December, right? The jury came back and they were like, there was people that was rooting for manslaughter in the second degree. There was people that was rooting for my nephew in that courtroom. They made a decision to drop the manslaughter in the second degree. They wanted to play a game. They wanted to risk it. You know what I'm saying? So not only that, the sound that's traveling back to the house is that, I don't think the DA is going to want to retry this case anyway. So basically their whole thing is like, you know what, I'm going to just throw all my cards in. I'm going blindfolded and I'm telling them I got all aces when you got a sloppy hand. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I witnessed from being inside the courtroom. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I wanted to happen. It was no we spoke, me and the attorneys and the district attorney, but when it came to this here, usually, they'll come to the family and be like, this is what we planning on doing. That orchestrated right in front of our eyes when they came back. Because the defense attorney, raising the other guy, Kaiser, whatever his name is, raising the other gentleman in the middle, they just kept crying. They was bringing attention to the protesters, and the judge was getting, involved with them emotionally, and like, yeah, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe the protesters are, doing this and doing that. But he did let him know that the protesters have a permit to be out there, this and that and the third. Yeah. So it was just a lot of junk happening in the courtroom. But that Friday was the day where all the BS started. Once they took that top charge off, you know what I'm saying, trying to get just the conviction, You know what I'm saying? I would be better off with a hung jury. If I'm the defense, especially, I mean, you got to look at what happened. I mean, this dude choked somebody out in broad daylight.
You know what bothers me the most?
That's the bottom line. And he got away with it. Not only he got away with it, and he got the walkout. He went to some New York City bar, hanging out. You know what I'm saying?
And he got $4 million.
Popping bottles. And he became a little rich guy at the same time. So he got no penalty for what justice is defined, penalty reward. He got no penalty, but he got a reward for his acts and his deeds.
And the biggest crime is that the other two cases with the choking events, they were cops, and each of these cops knew the victims. Eric Gardner, the two cops knew each other. The cop knew Eric. They had arguments before. And with George Floyd, the cop that killed him, they worked together. But this is a civilian. This guy doesn't have a badge.
He's a visitor. He's a cupcake with filling in it, by the way.
Long Island Trump supporter.
He's a visitor. He ain't really never been nowhere. He's a baby. He's 25 years old. They should have treated him just like they tried to treat me when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? Railroaded his ass. You know what I'm saying? So he could be a foreigner. Just anybody could just come to the United States of America and do something to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And get away with it. Yeah. I mean, like, that's just really what it is. If you po, you po. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't forget where we at. You know, I mean, this is an empire of vampire millionaires, bloodsuckers of the poor. They don't care if they got to get it from their mother, father. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to understand this, you know, where we at.
White supremacy.
I mean, I didn't, you know, I was just trying to look for some justice. I wanted some man years. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and I didn't get none of the above. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get none of the above. The family ain't get none of the above. So, you know what I'm saying? That's just really what it is. Like, only thing I could do right now is I'm communicating with different federal attorneys and things of that nature, you know what I mean, about how, the neglect basically from the district attorney's office and the judge, and then, like, you know what I mean, like, body language is expressive. You know, it's like 70% of, you know, of it all. You know, you got the sounds and you got the words incorporated and how fast that sound traveled. That's why Danny Penny felt, you know, nervous about Jordan. You know, he was making noise and he wanted to choke and kill him. So some people are intimidated by those things. But, like, you know, the sound in the courtroom, the body language in the courtroom and all that stuff, that was just, when you add all of that up, it just, you felt that something wasn't right and exact. You know what I mean? Like, one day we got people ready to fight for Jordan, and then 3 days later, you know what I'm saying, on Monday, on the 9th of the month, then you got people that's like, you know what, we just give up. This is before lunch. It happened right before lunch. You know what I'm saying, where we got a guilty.
Was this after the mayor said something? All this happened after the mayor said something?
I don't even think, like I said, with the mayor and all that, like, I don't really talk about I don't even eat cupcakes. So I'm not going to talk about cupcakes with filling in them, you know, because all I'm going to do is squeeze the white stuff out of them. You know what I mean? For me. So, like, I'm not even going to converse about Adams or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. The devil going to do what he going to do. Many people going to come to us, you know, as sheep, but inwardly they're ravenous wolves. They don't care what they got to do. They'll sit at the table with you. They'll eat with you, converse with you, promise you this and that and the third. And you might not understand who you're around for that 1 week or 2 week or whatever, but like 2-3 years down the line, you understand really what they was about. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I you know, whether it happened before or after Adams, I already knew that it was going to occur because I had the sound coming to me. You know what I'm saying? I just never understood why. Because someone that has been a prisoner like myself, you know what I'm saying, in the penitentiary, in Attica correctional facilities, you know what I mean? I understand that when I was coming up, you could spit on the floor and get 4 years. You see what I'm saying? I could walk across the street, or I can be in my nice car and I don't have my seatbelt on, and they act like they care. They care all of a sudden. Then I got a ticket. Then I got to go to court, and then you know, before I get the ticket, I'm having an argument with a police officer. I mean, it's just like, you know, they don't. It's you get time for anything. You know what I'm saying? So they was just giving it out. So for me to witness with the naked eye, like, yo, this guy just killed somebody, not just my nephew, but just anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I did it, I wouldn't feel right and exact afterwards. You know what I'm saying? You see how he felt afterwards. He went to the bar to go get a drink. His mother wasn't there to help celebrate. His sister wasn't there to help celebrate, or that girl that was on the third, on the yellow bus with him holding his hand in the 3rd grade that came up to testify. But they only came to testify. None of them came in the courtroom to really represent him because he come from a dysfunctional family. You know what I'm saying? You can't hide that. I mean, like, that was just crazy. They used the family as character witnesses at the end. It was a total circus. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know what I mean? I am, you know what I mean? I'm letting America know right now, like, I'm definitely, my steps to moving forward is getting all the information, all the true knowledge, and whatever else I can do to, you know what I'm saying, fight for justice for my nephew, Jordan Maurice K. Neely. I'm going to do that. And I got people on my side, you know what I'm saying, that's willing to help me do that. Because I'm not into law, you know what I'm saying, but from what I'm hearing, I got a case. Because there's justice in many ways. You know what I'm saying? You could do some man years, your family can get some money, but I'm only for the man years and for the person to take responsibility. If they want to give me some money, fine. Here, feed the babies, period. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case might be. Help out Black Lives Matter. You know, Black Lives Matter in New York. Help out Hawk Newsom and his sister. You know what I'm saying? Miss Newsom. Help out Al Sharpton. Help out Nan. Help out Warriors in the Garden. You know what I'm saying? Help out GMAC in Brooklyn. Help out all these people with this money. Get people out of jail. Take it. We taking the money too. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, there's other justice systems too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm going around this money thing, and I'm going to where I can still get those man years. Because it really don't make no sense how things happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to do my best to try to fight to get that justice. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just ridiculous. It was like total violation. You have no idea. You know what I'm saying? From a man that knows how to use his hands and feet, like myself, it's just to see him walk out of the courtroom was just like, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to throw up. You know what I'm saying? They did everything for a mistrial. I got these guys walking in courtrooms with their bodyguards, you know, showing their guns to me, trying to get me to be upset, you know, trying to get me to do mistrials. Yeah, he's a witness to those things, you know what I'm saying? So all those things happened. I had to report those things. I had to let those guys know, look, you know, I'm in the business of restraining men. So I don't have time. I'm letting y'all know, like, you know what I'm saying? If he do it again, or if I feel he gonna do it again, I'm gonna tackle him down, I'm gonna take his gun, and I'm gonna give it to y'all. That's just it. You know what I'm saying? And the court officers in the court that was on the 13th floor during this whole trial, they could tell you how I handled myself. I know I handled myself as a gentleman. I maintain that. I try to set that example of strength. Keep the anger down. You know what I'm saying? Of being ductile and malleable, subject to stress without being broken. You know what I'm saying? Especially, I'm not gonna let them break me down and then get a mistrial when I feel like, you know, God is on our side. You know what I'm saying? So and then we could get that justice through God, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, you know, the way it happened was just crazy.
I always say that if you're Black and American without God, you're in trouble.
Well, what baffles me, what bothers me, is the fact that going back to I can't remember the year, but what bothers me is the fact that some years ago, an unarmed immigrant by the name of Amadou Diallo was shot down and murdered coming home from work as he was entering his apartment on Wheeler Avenue. What bothers me, what baffles me, is how on that morning when I arrived to Wheeler Avenue, I arrived to see a number of elected officials from the top of the state all the way down to the community board. They were all outraged at the killing of Amadou Diallo. As elected officials of this city, they came out in support of the community and the constituency in which they come out to and ask us to vote for them. Now, many of these same people come to the National Action Network, They come to our churches. They come to my church, both churches that I'm members of, as well as the churches of many other individuals and constituents. And they ask us for their vote. My question to them now is why? Why are we voting you guys in? Why are we voting you women in? Here was an opportunity to stand up on behalf of the ridership, the constituents and the people of this city to say that vigilantism should not be accepted, and it's not acceptable in New York City. Not one elected official showed up throughout the 6 weeks of this trial. Now, Charles Barron is no longer an elected official, but he showed up. Now, you guys come to us, and me personally, over the last 25 years, I have carried petitions since I was 16 years old. Since I was 16 years old, I carried petitions. Okay, since I was 16 years old, I was asked to help register individuals to vote. Since I was 16 years old, I was asked to go out and help senior citizens get to and from the polls. Since I was 16 years old, I was asked to go to senior citizens' homes to help them fill out absentee ballots. Now, my question is to, and again, and I'm not singling anybody out personally. I'm about the job, the position, and the policy. So if anybody takes this personal, that's on you. Because I'm not coming after anybody individually, personally. I'm coming at you to ask you as an elected official, just to use the public advocate for an example. The public advocate's job is to advocate on behalf of the people of this city.
Right.
Not to legislate, but to advocate. And this same individual wants to seek higher office, as high as office as the governorship. This individual also wants to be the mayor. This was a perfect opportunity for both the mayor and the public advocate to stand on the right side of history and to stand with the ridership, deal with the constituents and the people of this city to, again, to say that white supremacy and vigilantism is not accepted in New York. But no one was there.
And a chokehold by a civilian should
and
be
it breaks my heart because dealing with the chokehold takes me back to Anthony Baez.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right.
Okay, we're talking about Eric Gardner. Let's talk about Anthony Baez. When his mom, Iris Baez, had to deal with her son being choked by police officers. Now, Daniel Penny is not a police officer. And again, I wanted to give Daniel Penny the benefit of the doubt as one who rides the train, as one who took the train here today. We are faced with mental illness, and some people just straight out crazy, including some of the people in the neighborhood in which I live, including some of the people that live above me.
But crazy people
under me
help
and on side of me. But the point I'm trying to make is there might be a need for individuals to intercede. I've been in situations where I wish people would intercede.
Yeah.
And they hadn't. But the bottom line is Jordan was unarmed. Okay? He might have been perceived as a threat, but he was unarmed. You look at the video, there was nowhere you could see where he could have concealed a weapon. You could see that he was unarmed. Okay, this man said he wanted to subdue him. With the military training that he had, he could have subdued him without killing him.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we have a young man who is dead. Okay, I wanted to give Penny the benefit of doubt to say that he was a good Samaritan. I'm going to say what I have to say. You brought me here for a reason, and that's for me to articulate and express myself and my feelings. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I ride the train. There are a lot of mental illnesses. But again, Daniel, Jordan, and again, I apologize to you, my brother, that you had to see this all over again. I'm sorry that this happened to your nephew. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be placed in a chokehold for 6 minutes and murdered on a train. He did not deserve that. And Penny, I'm sorry, is just out of line. This is unacceptable. Okay, I understand the criteria when it comes to making giving sentences. They said this was his first offense, what have you. But he should have been sentenced to something.
It said he was white.
Okay, even if they reduced the sentence, whatever, if they suspended the sentence, he should have been convicted of murder and manslaughter because he killed a man.
That's it. Another human being being choked with 3 grown human beings around him shouldn't have happened. If he couldn't be maintained by 3 grown-ups, they were all bigger than him, and there was no threat to anybody else. There was nobody else there. Why didn't the black man say, let him up? Let him up. We got this.
I agree with you.
Why didn't he say, I'm saying this to all human beings? You see another human choking another human, and you think you can handle it. He's not a threat to anybody. That's a human thing.
That's right.
You shouldn't have let him choke the man to death.
Where's the humanity?
This is New York subway. We got crazy people all throughout New York.
Yeah, people's traveling.
And if you're a New Yorker, you know how to deal with crazy people, because we got lots of them. And how did he know that he was schizoid? I mean, the announcer
and what also hurts is how they label Jordan, and that's what they do to people of color. When they are in the wrong, they want to blame us. They want to blame mental illness. They want to blame it on alcoholism. They want to blame it on drug abuse. They want to blame it on homelessness. They want to blame it on a dysfunctional family. They want to blame it on everything except for the individual that committed the crime. And people in New York and people all across the country, they got to be aware of this. This is what they do to people of color. They label us to give them an excuse or to give them a reason to treat us as if we are nothing. The problem with America is they take entertainers, and when they've been entertained and no longer feel that they've been entertained or no longer want the entertainment from that individual, they just discard them. They discard them. They kill them. They throw them away as if they're nothing, as if they're not human. But entertainers here in America and entertainers all across the world, they are human. Okay? They should be treated as such. Because you're tired and you're no longer entertained, that gives nobody a reason or a right to just discard them. That is a life. That is a human's life. That is somebody's son. That is somebody's nephew. That is somebody's cousin. That is somebody's brother. That is somebody's uncle. How dare anybody take the life of another man who is unarmed simply because he was perceived as a threat? I get angry sometimes. Yeah. I curse sometimes. Does that give anybody the right to shoot me or kill me or put me in a headlock because I get angry? What about all the individuals that get angry and I feel threatened by? Do you see me calling anybody to jump in and take them out? Do you see me jumping at them?
That's one individual that was wrong, dead wrong, and somebody should have stopped him. Or if he did what he did.
Just to add what Damien said twice. For what you said about they blame us on our own when they kill us. They blame it on ourselves, and basically tried to paint him in a horrible picture. We knew all about his background. We knew all about everything he had done. But on the stand, for them to have said, and I just thought it was so disrespectful to his life. He died because of schizophrenia, a sickle cell trait, K2 in his system, and the cause of what Daniel Penny did. Right? If you take away what Daniel Penny did, right? Schizophrenia, sickle cell, and K2, he was walking around fine. Am I incorrect? He was walking around fine. Yeah. But with the pressure that was applied to his neck for 6 minutes, that caused death. Right. So I'm not sure how you take away that from the cause. Without that, there would not have been a death. So for them to paint that, for them to add that even in the equation, for them to add that, they put out his entire record. They put out that he was on a top 50s list. The New York City should have been embarrassed about that because if you have these people on this list, what are y'all doing about it? So it was just so many parts of it that basically they saw lack of humanity. They didn't value Jordan's life. There's no question about that. Black Lives Matter. His life did not matter. And I think it was also beyond his race. He was poor. They called him a crack. Daniel Penny called him a crackhead twice. They quoted him in his interview. So he didn't even value the life that he just took. He didn't even ask, was he okay? It was just a crackhead who was on a train that I just handled that. That is the problem with America, and I don't want to lose that precedence. And also to what you said about Jumaane, they did put out statement after statement. I'm sorry, public advocate Jumaane Williams, statement after statement, And as far as the presence, we got kicked back yesterday. People were saying elected officials didn't come, black and brown elected officials didn't come because they didn't want it to be said that they were trying to intimidate the jury. But with that said, did you see the statements from the other side? First of all, the one of the defense ran. He was the Republican who ran for DA in 2021, right? Thomas, I think his name's Thomas Kenneth. So there can be said there was a personal agenda there, and definitely a political one. Then you have statements from Matt Gaetz. You have statements from Governor DeSantis. You had statements from J.D. Vance, all saying or applauding Penny or saying that he was a hero or it was ludicrous that he was even on trial. If this got all the way up to the vice presidential candidate on the GOP side, and now he's coming in as the vice president, it got all the way to Matt Gaetz, who was just put up there as the attorney general pick, they're using this for their agenda. And I don't want us to get normalized, because a lot of people here, there's so many people and there's so many people that you meet at the courthouse. People are like, oh, y'all should be happy that y'all even here at a case. Y'all should be happy that this is even on trial, which is asinine to me, because that means you're normal. It's normal for people to get killed, black people to get killed in this city and this country, and it's okay that nothing happens. That's basically what they were saying. Oh, they would quote say a victim that we formerly worked with and say, oh, they didn't even go to trial. Y'all know Winston, Grip, oh, they didn't even go to trial. So y'all should be happy that it's even in court. That's ridiculous, because it should have went to court every time. There should have been accountability every time, and we can't get normalized to that. But going into the Trump era, my biggest issue, being outside of that Jordan Neely died, and there's no accountability about it, is that the standard going forward in this city, in this country, is basically, if I am afraid, I now can take action on that, and it's excused. I can get away with it. If a black poor man is scared and makes threats on a train, anywhere, let alone. That's the new standard, that basically vigilantism is okay. It's now once again okay, and they're gonna use that. And we were talking about it yesterday, me and Ron and all that. Even getting arrested, doing civil disobedience, they can use that and make us political prisoners in that era. So there's a lot that goes with this, and I don't want us to lose that in the discussion and in the aftermath.
That's the whole.
With that, we have 30 seconds left, and we're going to have to do a part 2 on this, because I have more to say. And I'm sure all of you have more to say. And Ashley, thank you for coming today. And Damien, and of course, Mr. Neely.
Thank you.
But the God in me loves the God in you, and stay tuned for more of the Gilchrist experience. We're going to make it real here. And we got to prepare ourselves for white supremacy at its peak. That's exactly what that is. Remember, this man's from a Trumper. All right? Is that a close?